I don't think I can pick a favorite cookie this Christmas, but this one is definitely on the top of my list. So we're gonna make a Rudolph cookie today. I'm using my thicker consistency, which I also call my outline consistency. And thicker just means there's less water in the icing, which makes it thicker. Then we go in with our flood. Now, a lot of people like to cover their outlines or not have them show. So if you don't want your outline to show, you can either flood right away, or you can kind of try to flood as close to the outline, almost on top of the outline. That will kind of hide it as well. That's what I try to do. You don't really notice my outline unless you're really looking closely at my cookies. But if your outline is still wet, you have a better chance of kind of camouflaging it. I usually like to dry my outline first, so I'll outline all my cookies. And by the time I get around to the first one again, it's dry enough, just because it holds its shape really well. And I'll show you an example coming up. So as this cookie now set aside, once you've flooded it, let it crust over so we can do the next layer. And you'll see the color change here a little bit and go a little bit darker as it's kind of dried up a little. And so here's a good example of an outline not drying. So this is my outline consistency. I'm doing a rough outline of his nose to see where I kind of want to place it. And with the same consistency, I'm going to go ahead and flood it. And see, as I'm flooding on top and even pushing that outline out with my flood, you can almost see that icing move being pushed by my bag. So that's why for certain details, I really like to make sure that my outline is dry because it stays in place. If it's still wet, you have the chance of pushing that icing out with your bag. It's total personal preference, but I find I get smoother, cleaner designs. Now for his nose here, the reason why I didn't do an outline and then let it dry is I'm not the best at freehanding and making it perfect and centering it perfect. So I did a rough outline and I wanted to flood it right away so I have that ability to move the icing around and make it nice and perfect. If I had a projector and I was piping this circle, it would have been much better. I could do the outline and then flood it, but this is much easier. I used my outline consistency and just kind of made it with my scribe exactly how I wanted it to be. So I just added a little bit of the nose there, a highlight right away when the nose was still wet so it kind of sinks in. And now we're focusing on the eyes with my outline consistency. And again, I'm smoothing it in with my scribe. This cookie is about 2.5 to let's say 3 inches wide. It's not really that big. So these details aren't, super big. You can use your outline consistency for a lot of this stuff. If it was a huge cookie that I was doing, then I would use my outline and flood with my flood. But when you're doing these kind of details on a smaller cookie and the surface isn't so big, we can get away with using our outline. Here I'm just adding a few white dots to the eyes. So I'm basically squeezing out a little bit of icing from my piping bag and then getting it on my scribe and just touching that down into the eye. And again, this is done wet on wet, so my white layer was not dried when I put the black in so that the black kind of sinks in, and the same thing with the white. Then we're going to take my black outline consistency and we're going to add some little antlers on the side here. And again, I love these type of cookies where you do one base layer and then all the details can kind of be done on the second go and it's done a lot faster. You don't have to wait around for several steps to dry. You just have to kind of wait once and you're done. And then we're going to add a nice big smile because why not? We want a nice happy reindeer. He's going to be guiding Santa's sleigh through the storm, so he's a happy camper. All right, guys, that is our Rudolph cookie. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you make him and please tag me in your photos. I'd love to see them. Make sure you tune in for the next Christmas video. And as always, happy baking.